Assalamu alaikum, everybody, and a very warm welcome back to the Arabic in 60 Steps podcast. I hope you guys are doing very, very well and having a great weekend so far. So today we have with us, hopefully the sister will correct me if I pronounce her name wrong, but today we have with us a new member of the Arabic in 60 Steps team, the Arabic in 60 Steps community and family, Amina Sabir. Is that right, sister? Is that how you pronounce your name? Go,
Yeah,
I assumed it was Sabir.
yeah,
Good. So firstly, assalamu alaikum. I forgot to give you salam, by the way, but when we first spoke.
that's okay. Walaikum salam.
How are you today?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm very well. So firstly, can we firstly, actually, maybe I'll talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing with us, maybe first, so the audience know what you're going to be doing. So basically, with the Arabic in 60 Steps resources that we offer, I've recently put together this new course called the Arabic Script Bundle. We've just finished that. That's available now, and it's actually free. That is, and I thought because Arabic calligraphy is so beautiful, like the actual script of the language is so beautiful. I just wanted us to do something for that, really. So students who are a bit more artistic, students who are a bit more interested in that side of it, would have an opportunity to actually learn good technique of creating Arabic art, really. So that's what I wanted the sister to be involved with, inshallah. So could you maybe tell us a little bit about maybe about your art background, like kind of why did you get into calligraphy in the first place?
Okay. Well, actually, I got a degree in fine art, so I finished that degree last year.
Mm-hmm.
And within that degree, it's a fine art degree, and that's quite personal. So artists, you're looking for things to investigate, and quite often I would go to my own identity, and I would do investigations through like my faith and my culture and things like that. So I grew an interest with calligraphy during the art degree, and then last year I took part in a calligraphy workshop with Haji Noordin. So that was really inspiring to me as well, because he was actually there teaching you face to face, and it was just really nice.
Wow.
And yeah, that encouraged me a lot to continue with what I was doing.
What is your background, by the way, like ethnic background?
Well, my grandparents are from Pakistan, and my parents were born in Scotland. Yeah.
Okay. Is that how you know our brother Rayhaan?
I just know him because he was following my Instagram page.
Oh, okay. Like, are you from Glasgow as well?
Yep, yeah.
Oh, cool. That's, subhanAllah, we've had like, in the past month, we've had like 8 or 9 people from Glasgow, like come and join the program or be involved in the program somehow. It's so strange, isn't it, subhanAllah? Like that's, like it's not like, it's a city, right? But it's not like especially big. Like it's nowhere near as big as Edinburgh or anything, is it?
Nope.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah. Okay, so why so tell us about what the brand is now. Like what is your handle on Instagram and stuff, and what is that for?
So the handle is sabir.arts.
Yep.
I took inspiration from the name because of my second name, and I just wanted it to represent myself. And once I started selling the first couple of paintings, then it built my confidence up to try different things and try different sizes, and speaking to the customers about what they would like and accommodating to that. And then I built up sort of like ceramics with Arabic calligraphy on the ceramics, because I thought it was something quite unique.
Mm-hmm. That's really nice. So on your fine art degree, are there any modules to do with Islamic art or Islamic calligraphy or Islamic art and architecture in general? Were there any options like that?
There's no like solid modules about it. It's pretty much independent learning.
Okay.
So like anything and everything.
Cool. Well, when I did my degree, like I don't know if you know SOAS in London. That's where I did my degree. Have you heard of that university before?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did my Arabic language degree there, and they've got a really cool department for one of the modules that they do called Islamic art and history of Islamic art and architecture or something like that. And I really wanted to do it, but in my final year I chose to do Somali instead. I wanted to do another language, so I didn't in the end. But man, there's some such cool stuff in it, because like when you learn about Islamic art, like it's a little bit like studying literature in a way. Like it's kind of a window into the history as well, isn't it?
Yeah. So I was learning well. So then I found like in my degree it was quite unique for someone of my background to be studying that degree. So I felt like in the degree you're having crits as well, so you're like presenting your work to an audience, and I felt like I was teaching them about our culture, our faith, and that felt quite good.
Cool. Was your class majority non-Muslims?
Yeah, I was the only Muslim.
Oh, okay. What is the Muslim community like in Glasgow? I've never been to Glasgow, but what's it like there?
It's pretty good. It's quite tight.
Okay. Right. Do you like how many mosques do you have?
There's quite a few. So there's Central Mosque, Al Farouk. Um, there's one in Port Shields. There's so many.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay, cool. To be honest, I don't know how big Glasgow is. You know, like here in London, if someone asked me how many there were in London, I'd be like 1,000. I don't know. Like, so you go to some areas and there's multiple on one street sometimes. So yeah, I wasn't really sure about Glasgow, but hopefully I'll get to visit sometime because I'd really like to
Yeah.
go. I'd really like to go and visit the brother Rayhaan, inshaAllah. Like, he's a brother who joined the program quite a while ago, and his mum's on the program as well. And yeah, like he's just hardworking, man. He just hustled, and you know, he wanted to kind of come onto the podcast and speak to me and stuff. And he's like my friend now. You know, like he started out just being another sort of name on the students list that I got, but now like he's actually my friend now. Like I'd let him stay at my house and stuff if he wanted to. It's subhanallah, it's a really cool journey that I don't know how long you've been kind of creating content and stuff, but it's a really cool journey. Like the way that you kind of meet people like this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's simply just through the way that you create content and put something out there in the world, that you have opportunities like this and stuff, and now you're kind of contributing to my program and stuff, and obviously I really appreciate it. So it's really cool. How long have you been doing it, by the way? How long have you been putting content out on Instagram?
Started last year in March, just about when the lockdown started.
Okay, cool. That's really cool. How many pieces do you think you've done so far?
Oh gosh, there's 6 sitting over there, 7, and then probably about, if I had to guess, I'd say about 50.
Wow. I don't know, like they look so time consuming. Maybe it's because I'm horrible at art, and if I was to try to create anything like that, it'd take me about a year. But it looks like what's the experience like? Like when you sit down in front of a canvas to actually create a piece of artwork, like what's that like? Like what does it start with? I don't know. I have literally no idea where artists start when they want to create a piece of art like the artwork that you've done for us. What's the
Yeah,
process like?
so it's quite therapeutic. What I do first is look for inspiration. Sorry, my throat is going.
It's fine.
Um,
It's fine.
and so I have references in front of me as well, just to make sure that everything's going well.
Mhm.
But it starts off with the background, and you can be as creative as you like. And the more materials that you have, the better it is for you, the better the outcome will be. There's quite a lot of times where I've not been happy with it, and then I've changed it completely. But it depends on what the customer likes as well, if I'm doing commission work. But a lot of the time, I am just making work that I want to make personally, and then I'll sort of upload it onto the page to see if anyone likes it as well.
That's really cool. What's the experience like in terms of, like, if you were to create a piece for yourself versus one that you're selling? What like is there a big difference in the experience for you as an artist in that?
Yeah, I think there is a big difference, because if I'm making one to sell, it's for a client, so it's based on what they're needing. Whereas if it's for myself, I can be a bit more personal with it. I can sort of connect it to my surroundings. So if it's like something that I want to fit in a room in the house, I'll think about colours and the style of writing and things like that. And it's just like once you start, you get into a flow with it, and you're just you're in the zone.
Cool. Is there a particular, because with the pieces that you've done for us and other pieces that I've seen on your Instagram page as well, there's like there's quite a recognizable background to them, you know. And like to be honest, as I say, like, I'm not an artist. I don't claim to be sort of well learned in common themes in, like, in Arabic calligraphy art. But like, is there a particular inspiration for that? Like, do you know what I'm referring to, by the way? Like the background that you kind of have behind the actual calligraphy art. There's kind of
Like
Go,
The
go on.
marble,
Describe it. Yeah.
yeah, that's a really fun process because you don't know how it's going to end up, because you pour all the paint and liquids, all the colours into like a jug or a cup, and then you flow it all over the canvas. So you have no idea what it's going to look like once you actually have it on the board.
Hmm.
That's quite interesting as well.
That's kind of that's interesting because it's almost like even before you've put Arabic calligraphy on the canvas, it's sort of given the piece its own personality. Do you know what I mean? You've
Yeah,
kind of let it treat the paint how it wills, you know, before you even start writing, which is really cool.
yeah.
Is there like is there any particular reason behind why you choose certain colors for a background? Is there certain things to do with contrast with the actual text or anything like that?
Yeah, I want the text to stand out the most in the background, but I want the background to sort of tie into the surroundings.
Okay, nice.
So like, yeah,
Well, I was going to say, like, one of the reasons why, because a few people wrote to me, like a few calligraphy artists wrote to me, and obviously Rayhaan brought your name forward as well. And the reason why I wanted to go with your work is because it seems like the Arabic language is the hero in it. Like the contrast with the background, like it brings the main attention to the actual text itself. Whereas I think sometimes some artists can overcomplicate that a little bit. And but when really, especially what we want as an Arabic language program is like we want the actual Arabic letters to be the winner. We want those to be the thing that stands out, be the most important feature of the work. So, you know, so that's really cool that it's worked out like that. How big are the pieces, by the way, that you've done for us? Obviously, I haven't received. We've not finished them yet, so they haven't been sent to me. But like, how big are they? Like with your hands, could you show me like how big they are?
like A4, they're
Cool.
actually like
Okay. Oh,
30.
nice. Cool. That's really good for us, actually. That makes it easy for us to ship them to our students as well. You know, what's the biggest one you've ever done, by the way?
Oh, that one was huge. It was, I think it was like 130 centimeters by
Wow.
30 centimeters.
Wow. The one that Rayhan's got looks big, but I don't know if that's because of that's
That
because
one
of
was
the angle.
the
Yeah.
biggest one
Yeah.
that we.
Wow, that's really cool. That's really cool. And how long typically will it take you to do like well like one of the ones that you've done for us, like one of the kind of A4 size ones? How long will that take you to do?
It took me a couple of days to do each one
Oh,
because like the background was one thing. It takes quite a long time for the background to dry as
okay.
well. Then when I paint, I do the letters, and then I like to do an outline to make sure that the letters stand out even more.
Hmm. Do you know if there is a culture of calligraphy art in languages that use the Arabic script that aren't Arabic? Like for example, like for Urdu, is there like a calligraphy art culture that they have for Urdu calligraphy? Do you know?
I'm not sure about a proper culture for it, but I've come across some pages on Instagram as well that have these kind of same things with the canvases, and it's like Urdu poetry
Right.
on the. And it's quite nice to see as well.
Yeah, that is, yeah. Because I'd only ever seen it with actually Arabic text before, but I thought like, well, it's more or less the same letters. So like,
Yeah,
why wouldn't there be kind of the same kind of you know, the same kind of culture and history for it in languages that use you know, and a similar to Arabic script. But yeah, I wanted to ask that though. So what are your kind of aspirations for Sabir art then? Like, where would you like it to be?
I'd just like it to be something that people can trust to come to me and be satisfied with the results, and like showing people different ways of looking at Arabic calligraphy and just feeling the piece and what it represents
Mhm. Cool.
by looking.
Cool. Well, I'm hoping to keep one of the pieces that you do for us. It was initially my plan to give all four of them away, but we're moving house soon, and in our new house, you know, my wife wants us to keep one of them, so maybe we might keep one of them, inshallah, because yeah, it's good to have that kind of stuff, especially like I think especially when you've got children. I was thinking like when children grow up these days, like at home, it's so easy for them to spend so much of their time looking at a screen rather than kind of other kind of stimulus that are in their house. And it's you know, art definitely has a has a really important place. Like do you think like the course that you're doing for us would be suitable for kind of parents to turn into like a family activity going through it, like helping their children learn how to do it and stuff? Do you think it'd be suitable for that?
Yeah, I think so, because it is going to be a beginner's course. It's going to be really, even the step-by-step basics will be easy enough to follow for everyone.
That's really nice. You know, generally, like, we've had just over 600 students join our program now, and like there is generally a trend that, like, I don't know if it's, you know, there's probably some interesting things to look into just in terms of like when you create content, the kinds of people that you attract. But like most people on the program are people with families. You know, like I've just noticed, like we get loads of other dads who join the program as well, and you know, so there's and loads of mums as well. Like honestly, like one of the real beautiful things about creating an online Arabic program is like there's lots of mums who are like primarily like housewives and stuff who can't really, it's not convenient for them to go, well, especially because of the coronavirus now, but even before that, like it wasn't convenient for them to, you know, go to, you know, a class from 8 till 10 on the evenings and stuff. Like it wouldn't be convenient for them to learn Arabic like that. So we've got loads of mums and especially home educators as well who would really enjoy this course, I think, you know, because they can kind of turn it into a lesson for themselves, for them, and for their families. So tell us about the structure of this course, by the way.
Yep. Okay. So the first lesson will begin with all the materials that I've listed in the materials list, and we'll start off with the very basic, easy materials to use, and then we'll build up towards things like inks and paints. So the first lessons will be what kind of line and what kind of styles you can use with each material, and how easy it can be and how difficult it can be, because it really does take a lot of practice to sort of build up the skill. Then the next few lessons will be how to write out each single letter of the Arabic alphabet, and then we'll look at proportions and joining letters, and then I'll do a big final piece, like step-by-step tutorial on Canvas as well for anyone who's interested in that.
That's really cool. That's really interesting. So like, well, so it's going to be like a step-by-step kind of beginning to, there's like a step-by-step almost beginning to end of an entire piece that you put together actually in the course.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same journey that I went on when I was learning calligraphy, because at the start it was all like it was independent learning and it was my own research, because that's what the degree includes. It's all pretty much yourself, like you're discovering everything, and then you speak to a tutor about it, you do crit reviews and you get your grades, things like that. And then what really opened my eyes to calligraphy was the Haji Nordin workshop. So he does Arabic calligraphy and then he incorporates a bit of Chinese calligraphy into it as well. So I found it really, really interesting.
That's really interesting. How? Obviously they're different scripts. So how does that work?
So he's from China, so he's been mastering calligraphy for ages, and it's a shame because there's not much of his like tutorials or learning based information online. It's just through the workshops. So I've actually got a piece that he made for me. So do you want to see it?
Yeah, show us, please.
I think
oh wow, cool. That's
so
really cool. Man, it's so cool, isn't it? How like with a piece of art you can tell a story. You can kind of unpack someone's background and stuff onto a canvas.
Yep. And I watched him make it. It was like 2 seconds that he wrote it all out. I was like, wow.
That's really cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
How are you? Like, have you started recording the course yet?
Yeah, I've tried a couple.
How are you finding it?
There's sometimes where I'm speaking and then I'll say something, but it just doesn't make sense, or I'm trying to get the words out and I'm just like, oh no, and then I'll start again because I'm not used to filming yet.
Yeah, of course. Well, you know, one of the reasons why I was so excited about this partnership, and you know, I'd like to do more things like this with other people who have specific skills that would help the Arabic students, is because a lot of the time people with these skills aren't necessarily content creators. They're not necessarily people who put themselves on camera a lot. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, not everybody has that combination of skills, and to kind of have a financial incentive for you as well to put yourself on camera and stuff like that. It's important for artists and people with skills like yourself. But like honestly, like that's something that I do, right? Something that I do because I've not always been a person who enjoys being on camera. Like I've probably made over 1,000 videos now. But like when I made my first videos, like I remember putting on the camera and like I'd say a few things and I just think, well, why do I care about saying this? Because there's nobody there. Like it doesn't make any difference if I just stop and walk off or whatever, you know. Like it took me ages to get past that because, and I remember even saying to myself, maybe I'm just not a video person. I remember saying that to myself. I was like, I'm just not a video type of person. I'll write blogs or whatever instead. Like, so, subhanallah. And then, as I say, like now, I've definitely done over 1,000 YouTube videos. But then in terms of like professional videos for my courses and stuff is way more than that. So something that I do, something that really helped me, a way to think about it is like when you're in front of the camera, just it takes some practice, but just imagine you're speaking to a really good friend, and that's it really. Like when I look into the camera, I just think about my students as if I'm speaking to them, as if I am speaking directly to them. And it does take some practice though. Like I 100% understand when you first put yourself in front of that camera. And I was always like really self-conscious when of like other people hearing me talking to the camera and stuff too. And since running my podcast and stuff like that, I've often like booked out hotel rooms and had guests come to the hotel and we'll record in the hotel room. And I'd always be like conscious of people walking past and like, I don't know why, like this, like, why should I be embarrassed? Like I'm putting content out into the world. I'm trying to achieve things that I dream of and stuff. Why should I be embarrassed about it? But, it really does take some time because it's so inane to just be having a conversation with a phone, isn't it?
It feels so weird. It's like speaking to a robot. Even this is way out of my comfort zone. I wouldn't imagine myself ever doing this, but I just thought, yeah, just something new.
Cool. Well, I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you doing it and and giving us your time. I do really, really appreciate that because obviously, as I say, not everybody wants to be on camera and stuff. But I especially thought that firstly, before we kind of launch your course, for the students, I wanted us to meet. I wanted us to have a brief conversation. I thought it would just be nice if we'd bring the audience on the journey with us a little bit as well. Let them kind of be a fly on the wall and listen in our first conversation as well. So I wanted to do that, and then obviously to kind of promote your stuff as well because it's just really good and people should see it. So yeah, so I wanted to have you on. So I mean, I think really that's everything, to be honest. Like I didn't want to kind of interrogate you about anything in particular or make you deliver a lecture. I more just kind of wanted to get an opportunity to speak to you briefly, hear about your story a little bit. So before we finish, do you want to just remind the audience what platforms you're on, be it Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and what the handle is there, and how people can contact you as well if they want some artwork doing?
Okay, so the Instagram handle is sabir.arts, and you can just contact me through there. I don't really have a Facebook for the page because I'm at technology and I can't use Facebook. So the main sort of social media is Instagram because then you can see like the different kind of work that I've done as well.
Cool, that's really good. And by the way, just for the record, because I've been doing this for a little while now, so for the record, I'd say that that's a really good shout for you to stick to one platform for a little while. Like, look, you're an arty type and you're good at that. Like, there's people out there who are real social media types and like looking at their phone for hours a day. Like, if you're not that type of person, you don't need to force yourself into it. Enough people have Instagram to make the things happen in the world that you want to. Do you know what I mean? So, don't kind of feel like there's pressure to be on all these different platforms that all these other people are on. So Instagram is the one. Everybody who's listening, Instagram is the one, and I'll put the link in the show notes for those of you who are listening on the podcast, and those of you who are watching on the YouTube channel will be in the description below as well. So you can all go and contact our sister Amina, and that's it. That's it, my sister. So we'll end now. I'll bid everyone a farewell with a assalamu alaikum.